Did you know that you can refuse a roadside breathalyzer test? In most states, you're only required to do the test at the station, but that's not true for every state. Stick around to learn why you should definitely skip the roadside breath test and to learn which states don't allow that. I'm Andrew Flushy, and this channel is about defending your rights. Be sure to subscribe for a new video every other Tuesday. Everyone thinks they'll lose their license automatically if they refuse any breath test that an officer offers them. False. In every state, you must take the test at the station, or else you can be charged with what's commonly known as refusal. In all but a handful of states, you can absolutely refuse any roadside test that the officer is offering without facing any additional legal charges for refusing that test. We'll cover the law in all 50 states shortly. But why are there two tests? What's the difference? The test that you can refuse in most states is a handheld test that looks something like this, or like one of these. It's a handheld test that's got a straw sticking out the front. The officer sticks it in your face and asks you to blow into the tube. The test you cannot refuse in any state without facing additional legal ramifications is a desktop unit. It's usually attached to a big printer. While the two tests basically function the same way, using fuel cell technology to measure alcohol in the air that's blown through them, the test at the police station is designed to be more accurate. It actually contains a cylinder of what we call a dry gas standard, which is what is used to test the machine for accuracy before and after every time a person blows into it. The handheld tests that the officers carry around in their cars rely on the officers themselves to periodically, normally once a month, take this unit to the police station, blow the dry gas standard through the unit to make sure that the unit is actually reading the proper number. As you can see, the police station test is designed to be more accurate. Now, I still don't trust it completely. The test at the police station also normally requires at least 2 breath samples, and it only reports out the lower of the two, so it's giving the defendant the benefit of the doubt. Finally, the test at the station also has infrared technology usually. That's what the ECIR2 incorporates here in Virginia and in a lot of states. The infrared technology is used to determine if there's mouth alcohol in the breath sample. That would artificially increase the number that's shown on the page versus your actual blood alcohol content. All these things are designed to make the test at the station be something we can actually rely on in court to believe that that really is your blood alcohol number. But when should you refuse a roadside breath test? First, I have to give you a silly lawyer disclaimer that I'm a Virginia lawyer, and you should consult with a lawyer who's licensed in your jurisdiction or where you happen to have a DUI pending. The entire point of roadside tests is for the officer to determine if he has enough probable cause to arrest you for a DUI. So everything you provide to him on the side of the road goes into that analysis. It's based on all the totality of the circumstances. Would a reasonable officer believe that it is likely that you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol? Most officers, if they don't believe you're impaired, they're going to stop long before they get to the handheld breath test. They're going to give you whatever other ticket you may be for speeding and call it a day. If you agree to the roadside breath test, it's one more piece of evidence they can use against you to prove a good arrest. Sometimes the officer will ask you on the side of the road after you're in handcuffs if you're willing to go to the station to do another breath test there. Keep in mind that if you refuse the station test after you've been arrested and are in handcuffs, that is when every state has some additional punishment known as implied consent, where you'll be charged with refusal, where you could be facing loss of your license, jail, or fines. It's no bueno. So which are the special states where you should not refuse a roadside breath test? Unless you are in Alaska, Michigan, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New York, North Dakota, or Rhode Island, there are no punishments for refusing the roadside breath test for a regular license holder who is 21 or older who is not on probation. And keep in mind that many of these special states impose a very minor punishment for refusing the roadside breath test because they know the test is not very accurate. So they don't usually take away your license simply for refusing it. Indiana is an oddball state where you can actually be charged with an offense for refusing a roadside breath test if you refuse to do it when this officer suspects you were involved in a fatal accident, which is why you definitely should consult a local lawyer in your state. Are you anywhere else in the country? Then you can and should refuse the roadside breath test that's offered to you before you were arrested. That's precisely what I recommend to anyone who's driving through Virginia. If you're in another state, please feel free to double check me. And if you think I got your state wrong, sound off in the comments. As I mentioned, I'm a Virginia lawyer. I did my best to research this video to try to answer one of the #1 questions I get about implied consent. But the best way to never get a DUI, don't drink and drive. If you can't afford to get an Uber, you can't afford to go out for drinks. For more on your rights as a motorist, check out my next video on DUI roadblocks. I'll see you over there. And remember, don't talk to the police.